What's going on, everybody? Super excited to be here with you, Matt the Lumberjack Landlord. We are here at the amazing One Rental at a Time event that you hear in the background. They are absolutely nuts down there.
They're crazy.
It's just awesome. But we're here in Vegas, One Rental at a Time event, year 3. And we got Adrian here with us, one of the OGs.
Yeah.
Super awesome that he gets to be here with us. Man, you've been on the channel, I think, almost as long as I have. Like we've been on the One Rental at a Time journey for quite some time.
Yes.
So what we want to do is we want to give you guys the chance to maybe meet somebody that you haven't watched a bunch of their videos yet, and why not? But we want to make sure to get you the opportunity to really get some other folks to participate and kind of get to hear what you're doing and what your strategies are. So, kind of how we open this thing up, is talking about kind of what do you do in the real estate? What's your real estate niche or niches?
Yeah. So what's up, guys? My name's Adrian Hernandez out of Southern California. I own My Home Sold, and my niche is wholesale. So direct to seller. Started off as an agent, knocking doors, cold calling, did that for years, was a big Mike Ferry guy. But our specialty is direct to seller, wholesale, does some fix and flip, did quite a few fix and flip,
Yep.
kind of stop that. But our focus and the superpower is getting direct to seller deals.
Love the fact that you said superpower.
Yeah.
Too often people are like too spread thin and they do 19 different things. And it's nice when you have a business and you have multiple different streams of revenue. But you always go back to your superpower, right?
Always.
When the market gets tight, when the market's shifting or changing, you always go back to the superpower.
Always.
Because you're like, it doesn't matter what's going on in the market, my man. I'm going to make money.
Yep. No matter what.
Yeah, that's what we do. So I absolutely love that. So there was a lot of movement in the market in the last, certainly couple of years. What did you, from 2025 to 2024, kind of what shifted in your business?
Yeah. So we were heavy outbound marketing. So what I mean by that is we were heavy texting, cold calling, door knocking, right? We would go to the homeowner. So we actually kind of like we started a whole new business in 24 because we went direct to seller. So we completely got rid of outbound and we went inbound. Well, it is direct to seller. Sorry, it's inbound, right? We then went from door knocking, cold calling, texting to the client calling us. So now we're doing TV ads. So we run ads on NBC, CBS, all the major news networks. We do mailers. We do tons of Google ads, right? Tons of social ads. So it was like rebirthing a whole new company, right? I thought it would be streamlined. We'll go from 100 deals to 200 deals. No, right? It's like there was a whole new learning curve going from outbound to inbound. And so that's what happened from 24 to 25, but we had to because the market was changing. Yeah. Right. You have your cold calling laws are cracked down. I mean, you guys even know this now on your cell phone. I don't know if you know, but like some of your phones, they have to ask the person who's calling before they even connect. Yeah. Right. On the new iPhone update. There's a lot of texting laws that came into place. So we happened to get out at the right time.
I mean, it sounds like it, right? Yeah. I mean, and in that particular case, with as long as you've been in the market, the cool thing that I love about your story is that you recognize that you had to pivot because you've been doing it as long as you had. You recognize, and you were ahead of everybody else pivoting. Yeah. And now you're sailing. Now you're just running and doing your thing and building the new vision, if you will.
Well, so for us, we had a lot of people, and what I noticed is like I would see teams with 6 people, 10 people doing 10 million, 20 million. Yeah. And we had 20 people barely doing 2 million. And it's like, okay, hold on. All right. What business model do you want? You want 15 people doing 2 million, or you want 5 or 10 people doing 10 million, 20 million, 30 million, right?
That's right.
And so, we had to make that change.
What got easier to do in 2025?
Nothing.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely nothing got easier. Be fully last year was a just kick after kick after kick. What got easier is I started to pray to God for patience versus deals. I started to pray for help me understand what I'm learning right now versus trying to give me more business.
Sure.
So what changed is I started to pray for the right things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's not that's the right approach, right? Yeah. It's just and even for praying for patience is scary.
It's God, bro. When you have $300,000 going out and we have 2 deals on the board, at first I was like more deals, and I'm realizing I can't do that, right? Yeah. Now it's just give me the mindset to know that everything's going to be okay.
And wisdom. Yeah. Yeah. Having to really look at it and ask for wisdom.
Yeah.
Because some of the stuff that he has us do is nonsensical, but it's a test and trial of faith.
100%.
And saying, all right, who really owns my business?
Right.
And if you really own my business, Lord, I know you're going to take care of me.
Yep.
And I don't know what that looks like.
Right.
I have no idea what that looks like.
Right.
I went through that a lot in the Great Financial Crisis. I had just gotten married in 2007, and then the Great Financial Crisis happened in 2008. And that was brutal to look at my brand new wife and go, I swear to God, I'm really good at this. Like, you just got to see it. Like, I didn't expect the market to turn like that. I promise I'm good at this.
Right.
But that was really super scary,
Yeah,
because it's like you recognize and I mean, it's when you have all those people depending on you to put food on their table, and it does come down to them executing, but you're the big dog.
Yeah.
You're the one leading.
Yep.
And
Lies on
so
you.
that's hard. That's really hard. What was the most difficult thing?
The most difficult thing.
Yeah.
The faith, they're just spending, knowing, we have to invest a lot of marketing before it comes back.
Tons.
So investing with full faith, knowing it's going to come back.
Yeah.
And I'm still dealing with it today. You know what I mean?
It's hard.
Even till this day, we had to send a whole bunch of money into pre-buy TV, and it's like, I don't got it, but we're going to send it,
Yep.
and just know that the team's going to do what we need to do.
Yeah.
Right.
It's one of the scariest things, right? Because that's another step in faith. You don't know if you're going to see the return or how you're going to see the return,
right,
or when you're going to see the return.
Right.
Right. It's about, we still got to invest
100%.
and we still have to move and do things.
Right.
And it's just the hope on the wisdom side that you're doing the right things that are going to get people where they need to be.
Right.
So, man, I trust me. I know exactly what that's like to go through that. It is a scary time.
Yeah. My wife is like, you're doing what with what?
Yeah.
That's all we had. And I'm like, well, that's why we got to do it.
Yep.
She's like, what do you mean that's why we got to do it? That's why we got to do it. That's all we have left. That's why we got to do it.
Yep.
Right. Because if not, are we really trusting them? You know what I mean?
Man. Yeah, totally agree. What was the biggest change in the business in 2025?
Biggest change in the business in 2025. We had a lot of change internally.
Yeah.
I think it's just getting clear on our roles.
Yes.
We still have a system problem.
Okay.
Jordan can attest to that, right? We still have a system problem. So figuring that out. I think that's one thing, is just always remaining coachable, always knowing that we don't have this figured out. The system that we thought we had cannot take us to where we want to go.
Sure.
So yeah, that was the biggest change.
I love
still working on it.
I love that you say that, because I think so often, landlords try and run 4 rentals like they run 10, like they run 20, like they run 50. Wrong. Don't do that.
Right.
That will put you out of business.
100%.
And more importantly, is it will limit your scalability.
Right.
You see it, like you've scaled your business from nothing to where it was, and
Right.
now you're rebuilding that scale today.
Right.
Recognizing that you're pivoting. Like
100%.
that's one of the things that you have to do. Does what's happening in the world today change what you're doing, change the way you're running your business?
No, not at all. And the reason being is because I don't allow the outside world to affect what's going on in my inside world.
That's right.
Right. It's loud. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
You can hear it. It's really loud, but I don't allow it to penetrate my mind.
Yep.
I do the best I can to keep the blinders on, as they call it. Right.
Yeah.
You guys all know why racehorses have blinders, right? They have blinders because if not, they look to the horse, to the rider, to the left, they'll trip as they're running so fast. Right. So same thing with me. I just keep my blinders on, because if I look at what's going on in the world, I can get really easily drawn into it.
Yeah. I think almost every entrepreneur is like that, because one of the gifts that a lot of entrepreneurs have is seeing what's going on in the market and then being able to move.
Right.
But I think that if you're doing that without purpose, I think you can quickly go off course.
100%.
And I think that I've seen that a lot. Like, it's important to recognize and to pivot, but it's also important to clear the mechanism and silence the noise, and just have resolve. That's something a lot of people don't have anymore.
Right.
Like, they just don't.
They don't. And one thing I learned from my coach recently is that we all have like your fuel tank. The fuel tank in your car can only hold so much fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we only have so much shit-ish we can deal with on a daily basis.
That's
right? And then we eventually become what we're able to handle overfills, and that's when we may snap, or that's when we may get for me, I just lose it. I just what the hell, right? And it's because my capacity is filled.
Yes.
Well, this is important because when we allow the outside world to get in, we're filling that gas tank with a whole bunch of fuel that shouldn't be in there. And we don't have enough room for the important stuff.
That's right.
Right?
Completely agree. Based on your experience, what are you trying to do more of in 2026?
What we're trying to do more of, more conversion, more follow-up, more customer service, right? With inbound, it's a little bit different. We have to take care of the client. That Google review is very, very
Critical.
Important to what we're doing.
Critical.
So it's really changing operations, making it more about the client. And it's been a struggle. We don't have it down. We're working on it every day.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where it's, I always tell people, I was like, it's not about perfection, but it is about progress to perfection.
100%.
You know, and so it's like, so long as we're making progress, so long as we're doing better things, you know, we as a landlord, you know, the thing that we really look at is we look at certainly what our rates are, but we certainly look at what our retention is. You know, are we doing the right thing for our tenants, and why are they moving?
Right.
You know, and so trying to better understand that and run a better business, like it's always that self-reflection, but it's so we can give our customers a better experience.
100%.
And I think that those are always the vendors that win.
Right.
Like the ones that recognize it's about my customers.
Right.
You know, that's my first and foremost.
And we've been all about the deal. Prior to us going inbound, it's been all about the deal, right? And that's been a big change.
What are you making sure you don't do in 2026?
What are we making sure we
what's
don't
that thing
do?
where you're like, if I see this, heads rolling, like I don't want to see this. What's that thing?
That's a great question. Unfollowed up leads. Like leads not just going to the wasteland, right?
Yeah, that costs money.
It costs a lot of money. So like per conversion, per qualified lead is $1,400.
Okay.
$1,390 something. Okay.
Yeah.
Per qualified lead. Well, we need, what would you say? 5 qualified leads for a deal, or 4 qualified leads for a deal? What would you say? Okay. So 4 qualified leads for a deal, right? Yeah. So just do the math. 2, 4, 6. You're close to $10,000. That sounds right. Yeah. You're close to $10,000 per deal.
Yeah.
If we don't follow up on 4, I just want you guys to, like, that deal count then goes from 10 to 20 to 30. Now all of a sudden we're $40,000 a deal because of these leads that fell through the wayside. So we're working on getting lead managers where it's been a work in progress.
Yeah. So what he doesn't know it, but he just said something of why I'm a huge fan of yours, which is you actually know what your leads cost. Like most guys are just like, I mean, you know, we're pretty busy. What's a lead cost? I mean, we're busy. Yeah, I got that. How much does it cost for you to do business? We're doing pretty well.
That's not what I'm asking.
I don't think you understand what I'm asking. I mean, and to your point, like that's what allows you to then figure out, this is what it's costing me. This is what my conversion is. When guys know their businesses, whether it's being a landlord or being a wholesaler, when you know your business and your numbers that well, you can fix problems.
Yeah.
And you can fix them a lot faster than the guy who's giving me some glazed answer 100%. About how I've got a team of 10 people that are fielding leads for wholesaling. Congratulations. What's a lead cost you? I don't think you heard that I said I have 10 people. No, I don't care.
Right.
I need to know what it costs.
Right. What is your cost per deal? Most people have zero idea what their cost per deal is.
No clue.
Zero. And we didn't for years.
Right.
No clue.
Yeah.
Right. Until I realized this is not the way to run a business.
No, you're going to be tight on that.
You have to. And not only that, they talk about how do you create a business that's predictable and duplicatable by knowing your numbers, right? If I'm able to see that it costs $1,400 for a conversion, okay, well, how do we get more deals? Well, then just spend more money and spend more money here and do it this way. Okay, cool. That's how you go from 10 to 20.
Yeah, that business process, typically 6 to 10 steps.
Right.
And if I'm going to invest, where am I investing the money that I have left? Is step 3 broken? And to your point, guys, you have no idea the goal that Adrian just gave you is you're looking at your business and you're saying, we're failing right here. It doesn't matter what I do in these 4 or 5 steps. It doesn't matter what I do in these 3. I'm failing on number 4.
Right.
And if I don't correct number 4, the rest doesn't matter.
100%. We were talking on the drive up here. I'm like, dude, I want to spend $10,000 a day on Google ads.
Yes.
But we can't until we fix lead management.
That's
because all we're going to do is half of that, $5,000 every day will go to literally nothing. I might as well grab $5,000 and light it on fire.
Exactly.
That's what's going to happen.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And if you decide that you want to start lighting money on fire, just put it in a box. I'll come pick it up.
I'll light it on fire for you.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be more than happy to pick that up and take care of that work for you. I wouldn't want you bothered with such a task. If you had one idea for 2026 investing, what would it be? I mean, you see all the different parts of the market. You see that that flips became really, really hard.
Yeah.
You know, even wholesaling, like everything became hard.
Right.
Everything did. But what's the one idea where you're like, this is the one that I see either augmenting the business or a change of the business that's going to help transform things?
I'm going to talk to Southern California specifically.
Yeah.
I think there's a big opportunity in value add ADUs. We have the SB9 and SB10 lot splits where you can, split a lot and put it into 2 different APNs and sell it. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. And there's a lot of opportunity in areas that are going through regentrification where you can pick up a house with a garage in the backyard and turn that into an ADU.
That's right.
That's like the real way to cash flow in California, along with the appreciation.
Sure.
Right. So I'll talk to specifically Southern California on the real estate investing side. The other side I want to talk about is if you don't have that yet, is the investment into yourself. I think personal development took a big play in social media for a long time.
It did.
And I'm noticing it's starting to take a back seat. Don't forget the importance of investing in yourself.
I totally agree. And one of those things is, and if you're doing that evaluation, talk to other students that have done what you want to do in those courses and make sure that they got results.
100%.
That it wasn't just because there's message boards everywhere.
Right.
And so that's one of the things that, that we do in our courses. We want to know, hey, since you took the course, did you buy another property? Yep. Did you change any way that you're doing property management and increase your margins? Yep. Okay. That's what our focus was. And that's what we want to see those returns on for people.
Right.
So that's exactly right. Last question that I have for you is something that Zub asked me to ask, which was message or feedback for him. Anything that you think he should change, do differently. I always say fight more, but I've got a problem. So
I was just don't make the events on Valentine's Day would be
fantastic.
Because if I'm not home by 9 o'clock, Zuber, I'm not going to be able to show up to no more shows. You're going to have to find my body.
I actually agree with that one because my wife is here with our 4 kids in a hotel room. So I totally agree. But we both love them enough that we're here, right?
My wife loves them enough where she's like, go, get out of here, go.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
Don't stay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my wife's like, try and get home before the kids go to bed. And I was like, I'll do the very best I can.
Yeah.
So,
and we'll do anything, right? Doesn't matter when he has it. But
absolutely.
I would say that. But outside of that, no. I mean, I think everything Zuber's doing is great. The whole fight more. That would be cool, but that wouldn't be Zuber.
That goes to me. Yeah, I'm more than happy. I'm just like, I'm like, who said mean things to you?
Leave it
just
lumberjack.
leave
it lumberjack.
Just send me the email, bro. Just send me the email. I'll take care of it.
I love it.
But Adrian, awesome. Always spending time with you, my man.
Yeah.
You guys stay tuned because we're going to have a special interview later with the 2 of us. We want to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, which is evictions. I embrace them. I am 31-0 in eviction court.
Let's go.
So, I show that to most attorneys and I'm just like, but why are you charging that? I'm better than you. Why are you charging me that? That's ridiculous. But yeah, something super awesome. So guys, stay tuned. It's more amazing content. Adrian was absolutely awesome. Thank you again for doing this. And guys, One Rental at a Time event 2027. Make sure that when it starts being advertised that you get in, get your tickets because you get to hang out with guys like Adrian. And this is a great group of people, including the amazing crew with Heartfelt Productions that does this for us. So
they are the best.
Yeah, make sure we see you guys in the next one. Thanks, guys.
Let's go.